Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 20 of season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team career mode, where today we're here back for the Mexican Grand Prix. Yes, 3 races to go of season 2 of this series. It is really getting spicy at the front of the field here. Obviously, if you missed out yesterday's video from the US Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out, because there will be spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. So, last time at the US Grand Prix didn't quite go the way we wanted it. We lost out a few points to Valtteri Bottas, but the gap is still just 8 between myself and the Mercedes man. It is now just officially a 3-horse battle for the Drivers' Championship between myself and the 2 Mercedes drivers. But the team, we're on a mega run of form at the moment still. If you have a look at the recent results, you can see George Russell has won 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix. We won the other one. We've had 3 1-2s in a row. Unfortunately, last time at the US Grand Prix didn't quite work out the way we wanted it as well. So really, we are definitely within a shout of both championships at this late stage of the year. But heading into Mexico, I think this is the last chance to find out if we're going to get any rule changes for Season 3, as well as the fact I'm probably going to have to put a new engine in the car this weekend as well. Just all the control electronics are so badly worn that we're probably just going to have to go for a fresh engine and start from the back. I have thought about this. I was sort of planning it from about the Japanese Grand Prix. Mexico is probably the best track to go for it, because obviously we've got the huge front straightaway. Obviously, it should be quite easy to get around cars down there. So yeah, probably going to be quite a difficult weekend. If we can only lose out, say if we finish just 1 or 2 places behind Bottas still, we should be alright. But let's dive in then here to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. So heading out then into free practice, obviously probably going to be one of the more important free practice sessions at the latter stages of this year. We once again have had no confirmed rule changes heading into this weekend, but I'm still a little bit worried. Maybe we'll get it at the Brazilian Grand Prix next time out. We don't desperately need upgrades on the car anyway at the moment, so we're probably just going to save the points until Abu Dhabi, and then we might go for something there, just sort of spend as many as we can in the last couple of rounds of the championship. But yeah, obviously, like I said, we are going to have to put a fresh engine in the car. We just don't want to have to worry in these final 3 races of the year about reliability. It almost cost us a lot, actually, at the US Grand Prix last time out with the energy store system. But yeah, so we're going to be starting from the back anyway, so there won't be any footage from qualifying, so we just need to try and smash all these practice objectives. Coming towards the end then of free practice, I've got a setup that makes the car nice and slippery down the straights. We might struggle a bit more in the dirty air, but I mean, this thing is just so quick at the moment. Hopefully that shouldn't be too big a worry, and if we're in sort of half a second, basically so was DRS, the aim is that we should be able to try and get past them by the end of the straightaways here. So yeah, we're just trying to play the long game this weekend. It is a risky strategy. I'm more than happy to accept that. Some of you will probably think what the hell I'm doing, but yeah, as long as we don't lose out to Bottas too badly. I mean, maybe, even like last weekend, after I thought we were going to lose to him, had Vettel not screwed us, we would have probably got the better of Valtteri Bottas as well. But yeah, hopefully, just obviously, if we can finish at least near him, that's loose. If we can at least finish near him, then the fight should still be on in the final couple of races, obviously, because we've got George pulling off absolute worldies at the moment as well. Hopefully he can come in handy. Anyway, through the final couple of corners of our qualifying simulation run, we made a big mistake halfway around, but we still should be good for time. A little bit of a mistake at the final corner. It's going to be 3 tenths up, and it is the green objective. So, back at the garage then, you can see nearly 6,000 R&D points on the board, but we are going to have to try and get those new engine parts ready on the car as well. A whole fresh engine, we might as well go for it at this stage of the year, just so we don't have to worry about it in the last couple of races. You can see a lot of worn parts. It is always quite funny looking back at the end of a season at everything like that. Now, the gearbox wear is only at 20%, but we're going to be starting from the back anyway, so our 5th gearbox of the year here. But we're going to be starting right from the very back then. Let's see what we can do. It's time for the Mexican Grand Prix.
Here we go then. It's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from 3rd on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge. not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Why don't we start by talking about Valtteri Bottas? There's a real chance they could win the title today. So how do you think they'll handle the pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Kvyat and Alexander Albon, Gasly, Norris, Sergio Perez and Sainz, Stroll, Ocon, Nobuharu Matsushita and Kevin Magnussen, De Vries, Latifi, King and Mr. Monaco. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Just 3 races left. You can still win the driver's title, but you need a strong performance. Come on, let's give it our best shot.
So the team then with some big motivation heading into this weekend. We're going to try the one-stop strategy, softs to hards, and see if we can make that work this weekend. Obviously, we just can't spend any more time than we need to in the pit lane here. You know, pace feels good. We've dominated since we left Europe this season. Obviously, I think we've had every pole position as a team and every race victory since after the Italian Grand Prix. So what's that, 4 or 5 in a row at this stage of the season. George Russell looks very quick on pole position once again. Bottas about 3/10 back, and then basically everyone down to the Williams is only separated by a second around this circuit. So maybe the field will stay quite bunched up. Hopefully that'll help us out as well here. Obviously we've got such a long run down in towards turn 1. Yeah, hopefully we can just make it work. But I know it's a risky strategy going with a fresh engine this weekend, but I'd much rather be gaining places with a car that we know works, rather than risking losing them with a car that has got some issues as well. We need a nice clean getaway, and hopefully we can just keep our front wing intact down in the first couple of corners here. Turn 1 and turn 4, very easy to lose your front wing, so hopefully we can just keep it clean and tidy. Here we are then on the grid, round 20 of the season here from the Mexican Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights and it's lights out. And away we go. Not a particularly long hold at all there, but we do get off to fairly good traction in the end. Nicholas Latifi getting a good run down in towards turn 1. Magnussen is just going to chop us off there. There's actually a bit of contact with his teammate, I think that is. Down in towards turn 1, we get even more contact with Nick de Vries. He loses a bit of his front wing as we head through the first corner, but it hasn't helped us out. Well, we're just going to get pinched there behind the Williams, aren't we? But yeah, Nick de Vries then, not the best start in the world. He tried to be a bit too aggressive with ourselves as we now go 3 wide with the Williams up in towards turn 4. Jordan King's going to get an open invitation to go for a big dive bomb, like 4 places there, but we're going to try and look round the outside as a couple of people just caught napping in the middle of the corner there. So that's actually been a good little start for ourselves in the end. Straight up into P18. But we need to make a lot more progress. Look at the mini-map already, though. George Russell doing exactly what he did last time out in the US Grand Prix. Just trying to bolt it off the start as we're just stuck behind Norris and Jordan King battling it out for 16th place here. We get a good run now on the Williams car. Really not someone we should be battling, our former teammate. Oh, well, he wishes, I'm sure, that he put the performances in last year to get the seat now, but clearly not the case. Up into 17th, we might be able to have a look around the outside of Lando. He clips the curb, thank you very much. George Russell obviously leads the way at the end of lap 1. He's got a good couple of second margin already as homeboy Perez into the pits at the end of lap 1, so that should be us up into 15th place at the end of the first lap. 7 spots made up. That's exactly the dream start that we needed here. Now we've got to focus on trying to get round Stroll. Gasly and Sainz just having a bit of a battle through the first couple of corners. We've got to be able to capitalise on this. You can see just how much they concertina up on the exits of the corners here. Sainz is going to go defensive on Gasly, so we might be able to get a little bit later on the brakes. And just these guys at the moment, we've got such a quicker car than all of these midfield runners. We're up another 2 places, up into 13th. George Russell, new fastest lap, but Hamilton does actually go even quicker that time round, so clearly the English Mercedes driver looking strong. We also set a 17-minute lap, or a 17-second lap time. 17 minutes, I do hope not. Not going to be anywhere in this race if we're setting those sorts of laps, but we've got a good run on sights down in towards turn 1 to the outside of the McLaren. No, he's actually later on the brakes that time round. Completely overcooks it into turn 1 and then almost just sits on the apex just in front of us. Can we get a run out of turn 3 this time around? We should be quite good. Is he going to go defensive? Not enough. We'll sneak up the inside there of the Spaniard. Once again, he's going to try and outbrake us, but this time around we'll hang him out to dry. Up into 12. I feel
it's time to utilize some of this energy. We're trailing our teammate by 10.7 seconds.
Well, before Jeff rudely interrupted me, I was going to say I feel like a lot of the talking this weekend is going to be done down the front straightaway here as we try and close in on Albon. He's got a fair bit of DRS of his teammate Ricciardo as well, so struggling to make anything work this time round. We cannot afford to get stuck in DRS trains in this race. We need enough straight line speed to be able to get past the Thai driver here as we head down in towards turn 4. He's not going to go defensive. Send it up the inside. He tries to turn in on us, but we just about spot our front wing. And we're up into 11th. We've got to be bold with our moves, but we can already see the points just 4 laps in. Next up, Ricciardo. There we go. Good run. Oh, Ricciardo, mate. Felt like he sort of sat in front of us there as we head down into the stadium section, though side by side with the Australian. We did run a little bit wide there. Ricciardo chops across us in through the hairpin there, so he does hold on to P10, but surely not for much longer in this race. Come on, get the power down out of the final corner. A big wobble a couple of times there, but I don't think Ricciardo, no, he shouldn't have any DRS on Esteban Ocon in front of him, so he should just be a sitting duck on the road down towards turn 1. Defend it all you like, mate. Around the outside, 216 miles an hour, and we're up into 10th, up into the points as well. That's exactly what we need. Now every place we gain is less points we lose to Bottas here. We just seem to have... Obviously, this track does suit our car quite well as well at the best of times with all the aero and chassis upgrades on it. A 16.2! Holy moly, we've got some good pace around here. Ocon, mate, I don't think there's going to be much he can do. He has got the DRS on Kvyat in front of him. 218 miles an hour down in towards the first corner. We'll just stick it around the outside. Got the inside for turn 2. And we'll slam the door shut through turn 3. 9th place is now ours. I feel like every lap now we just get a running update of us all over the back of the next car here, but it is the AlphaTauri of Danny Kvyat. They've normally got quite a good car in the straights, but clearly just running a bit too much aero this weekend. Nice try, Danny, but he should be able to get a run on Charles Leclerc as well as we head down in towards the first corner. The poor Alfa Romeo probably didn't even know I was there heading out onto the lap, but it's a double overtake up into 7th. We're basically now, apart from Kimi Räikkönen best of the rest, is actually Charles Leclerc is going to try and come back at us. Thank you very much. Nice try, mate, but we got way too much power to be battling you here. Next up then, Max Verstappen. We're getting to the big names already.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
I don't know what Räikkönen put on his serials this weekend, but as we reach quarter race distance here, he's still challenging his old Ferrari. You know, you know that team that he used to drive for? Yeah, he's challenging them today. I could have worded that a whole lot better. 219 miles an hour, though, in towards turn 1. That's got to be pretty much the quickest we've ever been able to get this car in any Grand Prix. But all over the back now of Verstappen and Räikkönen. Don't do that, thank you. Rather we don't get that. That might have just cost us a chance to go for anything this time round. I think it has. We'll have to sit back for another lap. There, though, is Bottas. Just a couple of seconds up the road already. And yeah, we're only on lap 9. This car is just so quick at the moment. And with a fresh engine in, we've got an even bigger advantage, though, with pretty much everyone, including our teammate, because I'll be honest, at the moment, he seems like the person that's going to be able to block the most points from me. On to lap 10, we've got a Mercedes and a Ferrari into the pits. I think that is, yeah, Vettel and Bottas, the first guys to dive into the pit lane then, so they're going to try and go for a bit of an undercut on us. Can we this time around get a bit of a run on Verstappen? We seem to be able to get close to the Ferrari, but he just gets dragged along by Räikkönen's DRS, and then we just don't quite have the bravery into turn 1. Let's see if we can try and get a bit of a better run off the exit, perhaps. No wheel spin this time round, so we might be able to get a little bit of an opportunity down in towards turn 4. Verstappen goes again defensive. We'll try and get round the outside late on the brakes. Like you've always got to do with Verstappen, we use up all the track width, get the inside, and it's 4th place. Next up, Räikkönen. who now is up into the podium places. Not for the first time this year as well, I must add. Remember, he did get that podium. I think it was way back at Paul Ricard. There we go, end of lap 10. I think George is going to be into the pits. Yes, there we go, Raikkonen. He's going to do the same as well as Hamilton. So we're going to try and go out 1 lap longer than the rest of the field here. We will still have some DRS from Kimi Raikkonen, but we have once again got to be careful that we don't get undercut. Maybe if we can take it another 2-3 laps, get onto the hards, that might be useful at the end of the race, because these tyres are still feeling alright. Coming towards the end of lap 14, these tyres have actually hung in much better than I thought they would. I thought we'd have to pit sort of lap 12, lap 13, but just only now are they starting to struggle a bit more with understeer and wheel spin, where we haven't been seeing it in the last couple of laps. So we are going to dive it in at the end of this one. I've noticed George and most of the other cars have actually gone on to another set of these soft compounded tyres here, so we're going to get it slowed down nicely into the pits. So they're probably going for 2 stops. So fingers crossed the 1 stop can work out for us this weekend. We might have to do a bit of defending at the end of the race here. But yeah, not the longest pit lane in the world around the Mexican Grand Prix circuit. Hopefully a nice tidy stop, 2.6 seconds. Hamilton's going to come out ahead of us. Bottas is going to come out ahead of us as well. Is Sebastian Vettel, who's on a set of mediums, going to be able to do so? I'm going to imagine so with that sort of run. Maybe we can defend from him, actually, as we head down in towards turn 1. ERS activated, rich revs, still able to hit nearly 205 miles an hour. So we come back out in P4 then of this Grand Prix, but now we've got a difficult few laps trying to get these hards working. Oh, we got yellow flags out. Who's struggling on lap 17? I think it's one of the Ferraris. Perhaps it might be Raikkonen. No, I think it is Raikkonen, actually, for Renault there. So he's had a fantastic opening half of this race, but it all seems to have gone wrong for him as Raikkonen out, and we've got a safety car. What's that going to do to the strategy?
Keep your delta number positive as we form up.
We've got no need to change our strat here. We're just trying to go to the end. Are the guys around us going to pit in? That is the big question. So then George Russell is going to dive it into the pits at the end of lap 17, so we might actually inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. Yes, all 3 of the top drivers into the pits. So what are they going to go on to? I'm going to guess it's a set of the hards. Yes, it is. So we're basically now all on the same strat, and that big advantage I thought we'd have, obviously on the 1 stop, has completely been taken away from us here once we're ready to go green. We have, however, on the other hand, gone from last to first in half a Grand Prix. Could we become the first ever Formula 1 driver to win from 22nd and last on the grid? End of lap 19, then the safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap, so we will control the pace. Ready on the restart. We're going to try and leave it till out of the final corner. We'll go just after we hit the bollard. Let's do this thing. Very, very wheel spinny getaway. It's certainly not helped us. George is probably going to be able to get a little bit close on the run down towards turn 1. Let's see what George Russell... Holy moly, look at the run our teammate's able to get on us as we head down in towards the first corner. I don't want to have a battle with him at this stage of the day. We've just got such cold rubber off the restart. Almost big contact between myself and our teammate George Russell there, but he's had an absolutely lightning start. Luckily for us, Charles Leclerc actually opted to stay out on his medium compounded tyres, so he's helped us out a lot now. But yeah, George Russell getting the better of us off the restart. We might have a late race battle on our hands as we try to decide which of us deserves this race victory. George feels quick at the moment. He's in a good groove. We need a world championship. He just wants to beat the Ferraris. I think I know, as team manager as well, which one I want to be picking. But unfortunately, you don't quite get that control yet on F1.
Use overtake.
End of lap 21, you can see we've already basically built up a 2-second margin to Charles Leclerc just behind us here. So it's been a perfect getaway from a team standpoint. Remember, we're still trying to see if we can clutch up the Constructors' Championship out of a Mercedes nose as well, with how many strong results we've been having in recent weeks. So we need more 1-2s if possible. Obviously, we weren't able to get one at the US Grand Prix last time out, but we did get 3 in a row before that. George, though, looking rather quick at the moment. Not much we can do to close back up the gap. DRS then re-enabled in this race, but in that time, the gap to Charles Leclerc now over 3 seconds. Hamilton needs to get around him, and more importantly, where on earth is Valtteri Bottas in this Grand Prix? He's sat a little bit further back in about 7th place if I'm not mistaken at the moment. We are just trying to be a bit careful on the tyres as well, though. Obviously, we don't want to shred those either. A lot of things starting to fall into place, though, here. We just can't take any risks with our teammate. George's final sector of the lap is absolutely carrying him at the moment. We seem to be able to get all over the back of him, obviously with the DRS now. And then we get into Sector 3 and just lose so much time in the stadium section. You can see the run we're able to get, though, on him down in towards Turn 1. We're still not particularly brave on the brakes in through that first corner. I don't quite get how the AI are able to consistently brake so late and still hit the apexes, but Hamilton and Leclerc having a bit of a battle just behind us. Can we get a run this time around on our teammate George Russell? Not quite close enough. I don't want to send it if we can avoid it, but if we get to sort of lap 30s, we might have to think about it. Less than 10 laps to go then of this Mexican Grand Prix, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. We're pretty much all over our teammate's gearbox as we head through Sector 1. Heading into Sector 2, we can just about hang on in there with him, but then down into Sector 3, we just don't really seem to have anything against our teammate George Russell. He must be running just a little bit more aerodynamics on ourselves at the moment, because you can just see we either try and push a bit more and get a bit loose and lively, or we just throw away time. It's that final corner. The AI seem to be able to get so early on the power, but I think we just need about another tenth or so. If we're closer, then we might be able to go for a run down in towards Turn 1. You can see just how much we gain on our teammate George Russell, and then we just get a little bit close to the entry to the corner. George goes a bit defensive, and we can't do anything, as that was a little bit sketchy by our teammate, but that is just the story, lap after lap at the moment. We are, though, on the other hand, pulling out time over Lewis Hamilton behind us, so it's not too bad at the moment. There's much worse issues for a Formula 1 team to be having. Much better run at the final corner this time round. Now we might be able to get a bit of an opportunity on our teammate George Russell here as we make the long run down towards Turn 1. He goes defensive on us, but I don't think it's going to be good enough, and this time round we get cleanly around the outside of our teammate George Russell in this Grand Prix, back up into the lead for the first time since the safety car restart. Will he, though, be able to come back at us? Just 9 laps to go here. We need to do everything we can to hold on to this. To lap 29, look at the run George is able to get on us down in towards Turn 1 here. Not really much we're going to be able to do to try and defend from our teammate. He will have the DRS as well down in towards Turn 4, if I'm not mistaken. It isn't a double DRS zone here. So, yeah, looks like George isn't giving up with this just yet. I'll be honest, if we were a real Formula 1 team, we'd probably just be saying, look, George, hold P2 for the championship, Michael. All that Ferrari early 2000s good stuff. But George re-inherits the lead of the race. Can we get back at him 1 lap later? Let's wait and see. 7 laps to go then here from the Mexican Grand Prix. Can we once again get the run on our teammate George Russell down in towards Turn 1? He's once again going to go defensive. And once again, he's just going to be a bit braver on the brakes. Come on, George, you can't be doing that, mate. You cannot be swiping across the track like that to open up the run through the next corner. That was almost Seb-style incident from last week here, but we might be able to get a run around the outside. He squeezes us right onto the grass that time round. George, he wants this race victory, and I'll be honest, again, if I were the team, I'd be saying, stop back into P2, we play it for the championships. Doesn't get a good run off the next corner, however, but is willing to use some ERS. It's all kicking off between myself and George at the moment. I'll be honest, I know a couple of you have sort of said about Season 3 signings. I really want to keep hold of him at the moment, but maybe he's not the best pick. Perhaps he's just a bit too good, in fact. Perhaps we just need a proper designated number 2. I mean, he is now, I think, 92 rated in this series. I think he's technically, yeah, the second best driver behind Lewis Hamilton at this stage of the game, but even then Bottas is beating Hamilton, so you never really know for sure what's going on in the inner workings of F1 2020. We are again a bit closer to George Russell as we head out of the final corner there. DRS once again activated as we head down in towards Turn 1 to 17 to 18 to 19. We're going to be side by side on the brakes. George once again going to be nice and late, but we're going to try and hook it up side by side. Almost a big contact between ourselves and our teammate. We can't get the power down over the curbs quite the same way that George was able to, but we do get a good run up in towards Turn 4 here. 6 laps to go of this race. We lock up a little bit deep on the anchors, but we've got the inside for the next corner. Defend for all our worth. And once again, we're back in the lead of this race. We've got to be careful, though, because Hamilton started to claw just a little bit of time back as well. 34 then, 3 laps to go of this race. I'm just still being a bit careful of our teammate George Russell. He's still looking quite feisty at this stage of the day. Is he going to be able to go for something? He has got a good run on us. Down in towards turn 1. He's going to have a look once again to the inside as we head into the first braking zone. And just like we've said so many times, George Russell, just that bit later on the brakes into the first corner. He re-inherits the lead of this Grand Prix once again. Our tyres now really are starting to go off. Obviously, they are a couple of laps older than the cars around us. We cannot afford to lose this Grand Prix this late in. Let's just stick with George and see if we can slipstream back past him. And 2 laps to go. Let's see if we can get another run on our teammate George Russell. He's trying to use a lot of his ERS to try and defend with as well. But this car, yeah, just so slippery down the straight. We should be able to look to the outside in towards turn 1. Is George going to be able to keep the nose there? No, he slots in just behind us. He did try and poke the nose in. We were a bit aware of it, but we do get the run back past him. And we're into the lead of the Grand Prix with a lap and a half to go here. But can George potentially get another run on us onto the final lap? Coming into the final lap then of this Mexican Grand Prix. I don't think George is quite going to be close enough to go for anything as we head down in towards turn 1. He is certainly gaining on us though, so maybe I've spoken just a little bit too soon. DRS has now been enabled. He's not taking any time out of us. I reckon he's run out of ERS at this stage of the day, so we've just managed that by the looks of it a little bit better than our teammate George Russell. He gains a little bit more through the first couple of corners. Just look how badly we're struggling now with the understeer here. Is he going to be able to get close enough this time around? He's taking a bit more time out of us, but it's not going to be good enough. Down in towards turn 4, and on most occasions around this track, if you can't get round someone into turn 4, there aren't many more opportunities around a lap of this circuit. Unless we make a big mistake, that might just be enough for the race win here at the Mexican Grand Prix. And what a historic race it'll go down as. If it obviously, of course, if it wins me the World Championship, then arguably, yeah, our greatest ever race in Formula 1. It's been sort of a weirdly, quietly brilliant one at the end of the day. We took a gamble heading into the weekend. We put a completely fresh engine in the back of the car. The confetti is out, though, here at the Mexican Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be 22nd to first. A new record in Formula 1. No one has ever done a last to first until today. It's victory here in Mexico.
Fantastic drive. Just fantastic. You deserved that race win.
It's victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the Drivers' Table. Mr. Monaco takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
Let's move on to the Constructors. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula 1.
So there we are then, guys. Quite possibly the greatest ever race we've had in a Formula 1 game. 22nd to first. If I'm not mistaken, that's the first time I've ever done that in any career mode, as while their last to first challenge done and dusted. And it was even perfected with the 1:16.212 fastest lap as well. Things you absolutely love to see here from the Mexican Grand Prix circuit. It was a very intense race. George Russell did certainly deserve to win that. I don't really know if the safety car helped us or not. Obviously, I guess we'll never find out. I think George would have been rapid at the end of the race, but would he have been able to make up the pit stop delta? I'm really not too sure there. Hamilton comes through for another podium to continue Mercedes' advantage at the top of the table. Vettel in P4, another good consistent result as he heads towards retirement there. Bottas, our rival, down in 5th, so it does mean, I think, for the second time this season, obviously we inherit the lead of the Drivers' World Championship. Obviously, remember, we did do it back after the Bahrain Grand Prix at the start of the year, and I made a couple of jokes about that. I didn't expect by the end of the season that we would have such a dominant car in Formula 1 at the moment there. Ocon, Stroll, Verstappen, Albon and Danny Kvyat round at the top 10 there. So Red Bull and AlphaTauri both getting a car into the points, with the other two, AlphaTauri and Red Bulls, just missing out there. Sergio Perez, the homeboy, obviously got screwed at the start, down in 13th. Not a good race result for him, ahead of Norris and Leclerc there, who, yeah, I think, obviously Charles Leclerc made a bit of a strategy blunder as well in that Grand Prix. Raikkonen, though, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag. But in terms, then, of the Drivers' World Championship, we go from an 8-point deficit now to an 8-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. It is now just a 2-horse battle, Valtteri Bottas versus myself, as we head towards the Brazilian Grand Prix. We could theoretically wrap it up next time out in Brazil, but it will require quite a good race, and basically Bottas, yeah, not to make it to the checkered flag there. But Hamilton now pretty much has solidified P3, but look at that, George Russell now just 2 points behind Verstappen, only 10 points behind Sebastian Vettel as well. He could very, very easily get P4 in the Drivers' Championship as well here. But constructors-wise, 26 now separates ourselves from Mercedes. Could we do it? Could we go from, well, basically the very back of the championship, you know, come back right the way throughout the year? Has any team ever wrapped up the Constructors' Championship after only leading it after the final Grand Prix? Obviously, I know Sebastian Vettel did that in the Drivers' World Championship, but has a team ever done it in Formula 1? Someone let me know down in the comments below. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, do make sure you get yourselves subscribed. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow, ready for what could be the championship decider, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.